Welcome to Nadia's Crafty Corner, and today's star of the show is our pretty Ladybug and Daisy spring wreath. These are all the materials we're going to use. We're going to cover one by one, and these are some extra attachments that you can also use for the wreath. They are sold separately. Link is going to be in the description. For today's project, we are going to start with a work frame which already has the pipe cleaners attached. We are going to use 21-inch mesh, and we are going to use 10-inch border mesh. It doesn't really matter what color my mesh is. You can use any color you want. And this is yellow mesh. I suggest you would use fabric mesh or regular deco mesh to avoid fraying. The way I'm going to be using it today, it won't show much of it, but you still want to be careful when you're choosing your mesh. We are going to start with the 21-inch mesh that I like to put on the floor for easy working with. We are going to pull it together, scrunch it together, making sure that the factory edges are going underneath. That kind of helps a little bit when we are making our poofs, okay, when we start. Before we start, I always like to clean up the top part a little bit so that it's nice and straight and it's not going to look messy once we start our wreath. So we are going to scrunch it together, making sure that our factory edges are underneath, and give it a quick haircut just to make it all nice and straight. See, it already has a cleaner, much cleaner look. Once you do that, you can start at any point of the wreath that you prefer. There is no particular way of starting. We do start from what I call the upper deck. As you see, the wreath has 3 rings. The top and the bottom ring both have pipe cleaners. The middle one doesn't. So once you start with your mesh, you want to make sure that you push the mesh all the way down to the ring and twist it. Once or twice. You don't really need to twist it much because we are going back with lots more things and mesh and ribbons. You want to make your poofs. I did them about 10 inches because I like to make them nice and poofy. And you see, having the factory edges rolled on the bottom, it does make it a lot easier to poof. There's not much extra work to it. So you're just going to continue with your 10-inch poofs going all around the top ring of the frame. You can poof them and make them pretty as we go along, just to make sure that all the poofs are even. You want to make sure that they're the same size and not one too tall, one too short. However, you can skip this step of poofing until we get to the end, and that's when we're really going to make all the pretty parts pretty. Now we go on the bottom. I don't cut it. I just bring it to the closer pipe cleaner without poofing it and start over, going around the bottom ring. And with that, I'm making 12-inch poofs. And remember, we are using 21-inch mesh. And just keep going all the way around. And continue to go until the whole bottom row is full. And getting to the end, you can just simply cut off your 21-inch mesh. We're going to go in with our yellow mesh, and we're cutting it about 24 inches. You want to roll in one edge about 3 to 4 times, I would say, and put a clip to it. Turn your mesh around, roll it in again, leave about 6 to 8 inches and scrunch it together to form a little bow tie. And that's what we are inserting on the top part of your wreath. Now, you don't necessarily have to use two colors. You can use the same color for the 21-inch mesh and the ruffles. You don't have to use yellow and red on the bottom. You can definitely use just one roll of mesh and do both sides, okay? We're going to continue putting all our yellow ruffles. And again, you always want to make sure that you push that mesh as far down as you can. So go ahead and continue putting all the yellow all the way around on the top part of your wreath. Okay, friends, so once the yellow is all done and finished and you went all around, you're going to use the red color and fold it the same exact way as the yellow and just go all the way around. And again, my yellow and red ruffles are about 24 to 26 inches long. And what I also like to do is I like to mix in the two meshes together as if they are part of one wreath. I prefer to mix them rather than leave the yellow on top and the red on the bottom. So go ahead and put all your red in, mix in the two colors if you like. Then it's time for our beautiful ribbons. I used 2 ribbons, again, you don't have to, a 2.5 inch and a 1.5 inch. And in this particular case, I cut the tails at 14 inches. So they're 14 inches long. And I'm going to overlap them like so that the red, the smaller one, is in the center. Fold them in half. Once you have to fold them in half, then you can pinch in the center. So they form like a V shape. And at this point, we can insert them into our tails. Now, by now, we have used most of our pipe cleaner, so there's really not much left. So you can just push it down and under. And we're going to go back to fix our tails. And you're going to do that all the way around. Once you're done, because I'm using 2 ribbons, I like to put them in a way that you can see both of them and alternate them as we go around. And you also want to use your fingers as scissors to form the nice curved shape of the ribbon so that once we stand it at the door, it looks pretty from every single angle. Now we get to the fun part, and I'm going to show you how to make a simple bow. And the reason why I show this, friends, is because this kind of bow allows me to use a lot of leftover ribbon. Like this ribbon, the black and white that I'm using, I only had a little bit left on the roll, not enough to make an entire bow, but enough to make a base. So I start with a 10-inch tail, and I'm going to make 1 loop and another loop. And because that's the only ribbon that I have, I kind of adjusted a little bit there so that I am using every single inch of my leftover ribbon. So I'm making 2 loops and 2 tails. And I'm going to repeat the same with every ribbon that I'm adding on. So 2 loops and 2 tails. The bottom tails are going to be a little longer because I want them to come down onto my wreath. However, friends, I do have a nicer video where I show you step by step how to make the bows and where to get that tool that I'm using. And I'm going to go ahead and put in all my pretty ribbons. until I'm satisfied with what my bow looks like. And I guess I wanted some more ladybugs on top. And again, alternating the ribbon is entirely up to you. You can make the same bow with the same ribbons. You can only use 2 ribbons, like entirely up to you. I like to use a zip tie to tie my bow, because when I go and pull on my loops, there is no way any of my loops are going anywhere once they're zip tied in. And I do put 2 pipe cleaners so that now I have enough length to put it into my wreath. Okay, now it's the fun part. We're going to put in our bow. Super easy with our long pipe cleaners and our zip tie. My bow loops aren't going anywhere. It's important, friends, because it's a struggle to put your bow in and to make it. Once you have it, you want it to stay put. We are going to put our very pretty ladybug, which, by the way, it's sold separately, and I have the link in the description if you love our pretty ladybug, which is made using a lot of recycled wood and old denim. So it's all recycled stuff. Yes, you heard that correctly. All right. So very pretty cotton fabric with the denim on the bottom and the pretty ribbon to match our wreath and the bow. Okay. Now you can stop with just the bow and the ladybug. However, you can also put in a wreath sign or our pretty little flowers that I showed you at the beginning. And those mini flowers, we have an amazing tutorial that you can learn how to make them. There we go. There's the pretty flower that matches my ladybug. And that's a little, a flower just to give it a little touch. So here's the finished wreath, friends, a beautiful, colorful spring wreath. And make sure you go and check out my Pinterest episode where I built a whole beautiful garland and planter to match this colorful, pretty wreath. Everything could be found on nadiascrafts.com if you want the ladybug, or other kits if you want to try beautiful things to make. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you all soon. Isn't she so lovely, my pretty ladybug? Have a great day, guys. Bye.